let's get right into it. I'm not gonna hold you guys. I'm not gonna waste no time. A lot of people ask me, "Yo, where have you been? Have you been covering boxing? You retire? Like, are you doing this stuff anymore?" So, I've been MIA for a minute, but I've been watching the fights. I'm gonna show you guys. I'm gonna break down the fight that just happened between Dmitry Bivol and Artur Beterbiev. First and foremost, kudos to Artur Beterbiev for getting the job done. He ended up winning the fight. I had him winning the fight. You watch the fight. I sat down there and watched the fight, and you could just see right through it. I've seen right through it. A lot of people were listening to the zone and listening to the scorecards and were being hoodwinked and tricked into actually thinking that Dmitry Bivol was winning the fight. Though in reality, Artur Beterbiev was winning the fight throughout the whole entire time, and I'll break exactly how he won the fight and why he won the fight, and I'll show you why. Basically, just I'm gonna break down this fight that just happened. So I'm gonna let you guys know what time it is. All right, so let's get right into it. I'm not gonna hold you guys. All right, so first round comes. It was a feel out round. I had Dmitry Bivol winning that. Reason why I had Bivol winning that was because it was a feel out round. Artur Beterbiev, he tends to be a slow fighter. He ends up he's like figuring out his ways or figuring out he's downloading, he's processing information, he's downloading the fighter, he's trying to figure out how the fighter moves, etc., etc. Then on top of that, then we go into the second round. Then they started exchanging a bit more, and I had Dmitry Bivol winning that second round. All right, so that's when Dmitry Bivol won that second round. This is when it gets interesting because this is where it gets really. A lot of guys start losing themselves. They don't know what's going on. They don't understand how to score the fight after this. It goes into the third and fourth round. So when we go into the third and fourth round, the third round they're both exchanging. Dmitry Bivol is exchanging with Artur Beterbiev. They are exchanging. They're having the exchange. They're having the exchange. Some people had Arthur winning it. Some people had Bivol winning it. I had Arthur winning that third round. The fourth round comes. I have Arthur winning it. You could start to see Dmitry Bivol's using a lot of his. He's back. He's on his bike. He's going backwards. But the problem with Dmitry Bivol, and I'm gonna explain something to you guys. You guys don't understand. Dmitry Bivol can go backwards, but he can't fight going backwards. That's the difference. He can't. He's not punching going back. He's not doing all that. There's guys who actually do that. He's not one of those guys who can fight going backwards. And he showed that. What happens is he goes backwards and he stops. And when he stops, then he starts throwing his flurries. Then he keeps going back again. So that's what basically was happening. He's going back, but at the same time, he's constantly on his bike, and he's burning a lot of energy. He's losing a lot. He's conserving. He's getting a lot of energy burnt just by constantly going all around the ring, and that's one of the problems he was having. So that's what happened. He was going backwards, and he's just losing all this energy, and you can tell he's starting to get exhausted. Bivol's constantly keep going. Bivol's going backwards. Arthur's constantly forward. He's very vanilla. He's a very vanilla fighter with a lot of power when he's in his punches. So he kept going forward. So this is what happens in the fourth round. I have Artur Beterbiev winning that. I think the fifth round and then Bivol's fighting. Bivol's fighting in spurts now. Throughout the fight, he starts fighting in spurts. A lot of people had him winning a fight. I'm like, you guys don't understand boxing because you're listening to the stupid commentary. The commentary at the zone should be fired because they don't understand how to break down fights. But Arthur was basically constantly walking him down and constantly walking him down. Bivol would fight in spurts, so Arthur would come in there and jab, punch, hit him in the ribs, etc., etc. And so he basically continued to do that where Bivol was fighting in spurts, different rounds. So the fifth winning that. I think the sixth round comes. If I'm not mistaken, the sixth round comes. So I have him 3-2. Yeah, then it's 4-2. Sixth round comes. Beterbiev wins that round as well. Then we go into the seventh. I believe the seventh and eighth round, I had Dmitry. I might have had Bivol in the seventh, and then eighth round, Beterbiev. Ninth round, Beterbiev. 10th round, I had Bivol winning that. The 11th and 12th, Beterbiev won that. And that's basically all she wrote. What's the problem with Bivol is people don't understand how to score fights. They don't know how to, and I'm starting to realize that. I'm looking at Twitter, I'm looking at people's scorecards, and they're not seeing that the fact that Bivol's fighting in spurts. He's not fighting full rounds. He's constantly on his bike. He's constantly moving around because Beterbiev has so much power. And I've never seen Bivol really like that. He's usually the one going forward. He's usually on attack mode. But I think Beterbiev was starting to hit him. And he said that Bivol punched his glove and it hit his eye and it swelled up his eye. So that's how much power this guy had. He was punching him. He was chopping him down. He was basically chopping down this guy down. And this guy had no answers for that. No answers. Beterbiev will walk you down, walk you down, walk you down, walk you down, and just start. He's very vanilla. He's beatable. Don't get me wrong. His style is very beatable. I've seen that style in the past. Those guys, they're gonna. He's eventually. He could lose. He could lose if he fights the right character. Don't tell me Canelo Alvarez will not be able to beat this guy. Canelo Alvarez doesn't have the style to beat this guy. You got to have a guy who's able to like duck and fight backwards and basically give different styles. Because if you can fight backwards, you can beat this guy. Because he's gonna try to swing, and you're gonna be ducking, weaving. You're gonna catch him. He's gonna fall to the ground. But the problem is Bivol doesn't have that style, and I can see it. He's not the right style for this kind of guy. This guy is vanilla. He walks you down. Bivol, he goes backwards, but he can't fight going backwards. He has to stop and then start doing his flurries and then go backwards again. So Bivol can fight you forward. He can fight you forward, and he can fight you stopping. But that's as far as it goes. He's not going to fight you any other way. Like, that's it. Pretty much that. But he throws flurries, though. His flurries and combinations are very aggressive, very tactical, very sharp, very precise. I like how he fights when it comes to that style. I like his combos. He comes through. He's very, very relentless when he does that. But I think the power was starting to get to him. Artur Beterbiev. A lot of people don't know who Artur Beterbiev is. He fights out in Montreal, Canada. So he fights out there in Canada. So if you're in the East Coast, you want to call his fights. A lot of guys in Europe and a lot of people over around the world, they might have never really seen him, or they've heard of him, but they never really seen so many fights of him. They catch Bivol. Bivol fights in different spots, so you can catch Bivol. But Artur, he fights in Montreal, so he fights out there in Canada, right? He's out there on the East Coast. So if you're in New York, in Toronto, in Boston, all around the Eastern Shoreline, you might have seen him. He fought in Madison Square Garden. He fought a lot of guys. He beat up some of the New York guys. He beat up some American boxers. He's been beating up guys. He's been virtually beating guys the same way. And he even said out of his own mouth, like, "Did you make any adjustments?" There was no adjustments made. He fought the same. He fought exactly what the scouting report was going to show you. The only thing was because Bivol is hard to knock out, and Bivol was not a stationary guy. Bivol's not going to just stand there and just exchange with you and get blown out and go on the canvas, and he's sleeping night. Wake up and he's like, "Oh, where am I?" And the fight is already over. So Bivol's on his bike, but Bivol was getting hit so much, and he was chopping Bivol down. Bivol would catch him in spurts with the flurries and stuff, but then stop. You see what I'm saying? And then he would have counters, and they were exchanging. They had moments where they both exchanged. It looked really good. And I'm telling you right now, if you think he was winning, go look at His Excellency and go look at Frank Warren. Because they both saw what they were seeing. Excellency was getting nervous because he needed Bivol to win. He wanted Bivol to win. But Artur Beterbiev is just the more powerful fighter. He's the more powerful fighter. He's the guy who he's gonna bring it that to you. He's gonna walk you down. He doesn't fight going backwards. He can give you a little bit of stationary stuff, but he's mostly gonna walk you down. He's like a guy with a sledgehammer just constantly, or a guy with a freaking axle just constantly chopping down the tree. That's basically what he's doing. That's pretty much, that's the fight in a nutshell. That's pretty much what went down. The real talks, that's what went down. So, I'm going to tell you right now, kudos to Artur Beterbiev. People say the rematch. This guy let me tell you something. Artur Beterbiev came off surgery. came off surgery 5 months ago on his knee. So he's not even really like he's even a little. He hasn't fought in a while, and he came off the win. So what's gonna happen in the next fight? I could see the same thing happening in the next fight, unless Bivol. The only thing if Bivol can fight just while he's and you know what I mean, just giving him the shit while he's going backwards. Bivol's going backwards and he's fighting him going backwards, Bivol can catch him. If Bivol can change up some of this stuff, his technique, but I don't think Bivol's that kind of fighter. That's the thing. And if he's not that kind of fighter, what makes you think he's gonna all of a sudden turn into that one day? It doesn't work that way. Those are things you're taught at a younger age, like coming up in the fight world. The way he fights is a lot of the way these Eastern European fighters fight. You know what I mean? They have that same style of fighting, and because of that, They have that way of fighting. You gotta fight backwards. You gotta be able to cut off the ring. You gotta be. He wasn't doing none of it. He wasn't cutting off the ring. He wasn't doing any of that stuff. So that's why he lost the fight. Bivol's an elite fighter. He's an elite, but no, he's not at the. He's Artur Beterbiev is just stylistically, it doesn't work out in Bivol's favor for this guy right here. If they fight again, I could see the same results. A lot of people had money on the fight, so they wanted Bivol to win. They're listening to the pundits and these idiots. That's why I try to tell you guys, stop listening to people. Stop liking guys for where he's from or where he looks and stuff like that, and just actually just watch the fight. Watch the fight. Look at the fighter and just be like, that's it. I had to turn off the freaking. I think it was the what round was it? I think the eighth round or something. I don't know what round it was. Maybe the seventh. I turned off the audio. I said the zone is too biased. They're just misleading the audience. They're not showing. They're not breaking down. Bivol be better. Bivol will throw some flurries. Oh my God, Bivol's winning. Oh my God, Bivol's this. Bivol's the greatest thing since sliced bread and cheese. Oh my God, Bivol this, Bivol that. And I'm like, yo, you guys don't understand how to break down the fight. And then when Better Beef hits them, they're silent, they're quiet, they don't even want to say nothing. And I'm like, you guys aren't breaking down the fight correctly. The commentary is horrible. They need to fire everybody there, send them home, give them their whatever, their severance, and tell them, yo, you're out of here. Because at the end of the day, they don't know how to score fights. That's what it boils down to. They don't know how to score fights. You got to know how to score fights. They don't know how to score anything. If you can't score fights, you're in trouble. In boxing, fights. They can't score freaking fights. All right, yo. What's next for Better Beef? I don't know. He pretty much the division's done. I don't know. There's nobody really there at light heavyweight. Maybe he can fight. Maybe you know what? Actually, David Morrell and what's it called? You know what I mean? The Mexican monster there. What's his name? Our guy over here, the tall guy, the Mexican monster. Those are two guys that Better Beef could fight. You know what I mean? Those are two guys that Better Beef could fight. I think those two guys could give him some good work. You see what I'm saying? Like, those are the two guys that could give him some good work. Like, I probably think they. Oh man, David Benavidez. Sorry about that. David Benavidez. Even though he didn't look good at light heavyweight, his last fight, I believe David Benavidez could beat Artur Beterbiev. I think the style of the way he fights, standing up, he's so tall, he has the length. I believe he has the potential. If anyone's gonna get it done, he'll get it done. He'll beat He'll beat Artur Beterbiev. And I think that'd be an amazing fight. And I think he would get him out. He would beat him. He would beat him when it's all said and done. Beterbiev would walk him down. But I think Benavidez' height, the size, it'd be the more intriguing fight. Benavidez versus Bivol. I know His Excellency wanted to make that fight. His Excellency I know His Excellency was watching. He saw him lose. He was like, nah, this guy's losing the fight. He could see it. He was getting up. He was getting all nervous and anxious. He's like, oh my God. When Better Beef was doing better, when Better Beef was just basically outlanding him and the aggressor the whole entire fight, you could see him. You could see his reaction. He didn't want him to win, but he won the fight. That's how it is. That's how boxing is. Don't listen to these idiots. Just watch the fight. Turn off the audio. Don't listen to anybody and just watch the fight. And you're gonna see you're gonna really see the fight for what it is. That's it. Don't listen to the commentators. The commentators are biased. Bivol is a matchroom fighter, and he's obviously going to be obligated to fight on his own. He's a house fighter technically, or a network fighter. So because he's a network fighter, everything is gonna lean towards him. The commentators are gonna lean towards him. So this is why a lot of people are confused. They're like, oh, robbery. This was no robbery. This was an easy fight. Bivol fights in spurts. He fought the middle rounds and the late rounds in spurts. You're not winning fights. You can't. That's not the amateurs. In the amateurs, you can fight in spurts. In the pros, you got to fight. You fight whole rounds. You got to fight whole rounds. And this is something that he's going to learn. And in the future, we'll see what transpires. But Kudos to Artur Beterbiev. You got the job done. You won the fight, and I'm looking forward to seeing what you got next. I salute. I'm out of here. I'll be back with more boxing. Best believe. Signing out. Peace.